deployment of mass censorship of critics of these policies, the ramped-up state surveillance, the forced closures of schools, places of worship, and businesses, the unconstitutional declarations that we must not assemble, beyond a certain small number of people, even in private homes, the violation of the Nuremberg laws, and the most basic international human rights laws that guarantee bodily integrity and informed medical consent, represented in mRNA vaccine mandates, would utterly transform our nation, and the nations of the West, into post-democratic societies, into societies that may look pretty much the same on the surface, as I argued in my 2008 bestseller, The End of America, that post-democratic societies would, but that the heart of their freedom would be annihilated, leaving intact pretty-looking vassal states, with no real autonomy left for their citizens, where the nations of the free West so recently prevailed. I saw, early, what a dangerous time it was and is, 2020 to 2023. In my 2008 book about dying democracies, I had described the threats to liberty that prevailed at that time, in the Bush Jr. era, as deriving primarily from the right. But even then, I was not deceived by partisanship assumptions about fascism, as I learned from my study of earlier totalitarian and fascist regimes and leaders that authoritarians of the left and the right are exactly the same. They take the same 10 steps to ensure the death of democracies, and do the same things to propagandize their subject people, to silence dissent, to arrest opposition leaders, to create surveillance societies and prisons outside the rule of law, and eventually to bring about emergency law, which is step 10. Since 2020, in America at least, these threats to our country have been deployed largely from the left. Though I come from the left, I had no problem recognizing this. The threats to liberty worldwide had no partisan quality, as they were metapartisan, being handed down from the WEF, World Economic Forum, the WHO, World Health Organization, the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, non-government foundations such as Bill Gates's, and allied big tech leaders, as I described in my 2022 book, The Bodies of Others. You could see the exact same pandemic, lockdown, and mandate policies rolled out in conservative-led Australia, in conservative-led UK, in liberal-led Canada, in liberal-led France, and so on. Other people also spoke up, as the dark shadow of fascism descended on our nation under the cloak of a public health emergency. Some others who had been identified with the US left were also speaking out against the public health response to the pandemic. They also spoke out about the censorship regime that so visibly descended on us. Glenn Greenwald, Bret Weinstein, and Heather Heying, Joe Rogan, Robert Kennedy Jr., and others, though identified with the left, held the principles of the Constitution and basic human rights above partisanship. Other heroes, too, arose in this dark time, in ways that also transcended partisanship. Many of these were heroes of real medicine, real science, real public health. Some were doctors. Dr. Peter McCullough, Dr. Pierre Corey, Dr. Paul Alexander, Dr. Henry Ely, Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, and many others. Some were scientists and economists. The signatories and the convener of the Great Barrington Declaration, for instance. Dr. J. Bhattacharya, Dr. Martin Kulldorff, Dr. Sunetra Gupta, and economist Jeffrey Tucker. These all refused to tolerate or even accept as settled science policies that they knew would destroy schooling, damage the development of children, and lead to mass starvation.